just didn't realize we were that into Penn State football.
Nah, you know what? It makes it interesting.
Kenny's been graduated for 2 years, and no, it's more than 2, right? 3 years. He's still into college football. Let me tell you guys something.
He's made a ton of friends through
That's
down
true.
in Miami. Why
But
not
you
just
know,
being
I
from
don't,
Penn State?
I don't know if I want to be friends with the 40-year-old that has no kids in the school but still goes to all the tailgates.
Well,
That's shots fired at people. When we went to visit, how long ago did we go to that game? Kenny was a sophomore. Oh, we went to a game with Mike when Mike was there.
You did. I didn't go, right? You
Maybe,
went
I
out
don't
by
know.
yourself with your brother. But anyhow,
The amount of people there for those tailgates is actually insane. Like, I understand why it's fun, but again, if you're in your mid-40s, you didn't even go to the school.
well, I don't know if there aren't that many people like that, I don't think. But,
There's quite a few.
yeah,
Hey,
well,
what grade is your kid in? No one in our school has any association with Penn State. We just love Penn State football.
but some people invest a lot of money over 4 years in their kids' education, and they like
Yeah, that's
having a
true.
piece of it and having their kid part of the Penn State family or whatever school family you belong to.
Well, we say this all the time, somewhat jokingly in the Discord, but like people who fist fight over their favorite sports team, that's a wild one to me. I'll never understand people that do that.
Yeah, that's people
You know,
that
when
take
you
it
get
very,
when you
very
get
seriously.
upset about your team losing, even though you had no decision over the matter, right?
Yeah, that's a little intense, I think.
That's a level of sports I just don't understand.
Well, unless you're betting on it, and they don't want to admit to
I guess
admit
that's
to it.
fair, but I mean, yeah, I don't know.
And there's a lot more of that going on nowadays than
With the
small bets, big
yeah.
bets. It's not just
DraftKings?
Vegas anymore. Well, all of them.
yeah.
So I think in all different levels of people.
Remember the old days we had to call into your sports better?
To your
and
bookie.
yeah, your bookie.
Yeah,
The good old days.
I wouldn't know about that.
Well, the horse races, right? We have the Hunt by us, which is the big one. I think they still do that stuff.
Those aren't really major. I don't think they do. That's like, side bets. If you go to Saratoga and you bet on the horses, or you go to a racetrack, that's pure betting.
The
and
Kentucky Derby.
Kentucky Derby's a big one. Yep.
Yeah.
Saratoga's fun.
Thank God
for
I
an
don't have
afternoon.
that gene, the one that makes me want to bet the house.
You might have it. Just
The
hasn't come out
gambling-
yet.
Yeah, I don't think I've ever really gambled on something. We bet we made in the Discord when we do the UFC fights. We bet fake macaroni boxes.
Oh,
I think
jeez.
Dave owes me like 7 macaroni boxes or something like that. My UFC knowledge is
Yeah,
just.
don't admit that to people online. But yeah.
Well, I really only said it because I know Dave watches the shorts, and I'll turn it into a short and make him
Well.
make him watch it.
All I know is that the school does well. It has a lot of popularity. A lot of people
Yeah, Penn
respond
State
to Penn State, and that's not a bad thing when your kid's
Well, they
out job
treat-
hunting and
they-
says, "I go
yeah.
to Penn State."
They treat Saquon Barkley as royalty here, so.
Well, if he does better this year, he'll be Giants royalty also.
Thank God. I mean, the Giants need someone. I don't know a lot about sports in general, as we all know. Like, I understand sports, but I don't know much about. You're doing bad when I know you're a bad team. Let's put it
Really,
that way.
Chris, because you were on the Morris County Catholic School championship team.
Mom, don't go through my accolades. Did I drop 40 points in 8th grade? Yes. I in a basketball game? Yes. Was I dunking in 8th grade? Also, yes. Did I sit on the bench?
Yeah.
Yes.
This is a podcast. It's not radio. They see
Yeah.
me shaking my head. No, no.
All right. So, not a lot of political news this week.
Are you starting with this stuff, the One Piece?
No, that's just my background.
No, I
That's
know,
all-
but are you
that's all-
starting with the One Piece?
Oh, you want your little intro? Yeah, my mom has to do her
Get
homework.
the One Piece over with?
Yeah. So, I forced Mom to watch the first episode, and she was like, I don't know if I can stop watching this. What'd you think? Because remember, so for those of you that didn't watch last week's episode, we talked about it. So right now, I mean, I could pull up the stats. I should have kept the stats, but right now it's the #1 most viewed TV show in 50 different countries. Which is, I mean,
Well,
that's pretty
streaming
insane.
show. I don't know if you can say TV
Netflix.
anymore. It's streaming show.
Can I be honest with you? I think Netflix counts as TV
A
nowadays.
streaming series.
Yeah. Well, it didn't recently. I think I saw something.
They don't want to
on-
be known as TV. They're on
They don't.
every platform.
Right. But I think recently, I don't remember what show it was. It had nothing to do with One Piece, but I think. Oh, you know what it was? It was the news stuff mainly. So, internet streaming has now beat out people that watch
Beaten
TV. Like they've had their lowest ratings on TV across the boards
Yeah.
than ever.
Yeah.
Which we all knew that was coming, but I was like, oh man, this has been quick. The downfall of TV is coming.
Every night, Dad and I look for something to watch on TV. We always wind up with Beat Bobby Flay.
Beat Bobby Flay.
We watch one right after the other. Now, I like food, I like cooking, I like the competition, but I don't like it that much that I want to see it one right after the other every freaking night.
Agreed.
So I mean, I could see myself not even doing cable TV in the next house, just
there's
doing
no
pure
point.
streaming.
Well, my
or
friend
Apple TV.
John at the gym, we call him Left John because he's left leaning. He just does, my friend, but he does the YouTube TV. So YouTube has a premium account. So not YouTube Red. There's a YouTube TV channel basically where they have their own channels and stuff.
Yeah.
He says it's $90 a month, but he gets all of his channels that he wants to see, more than he ever had with cable.
I don't even know if I need that if I just have a box, Apple or a Prime box.
Isn't it funny how, right, one of the great things, the big turn of the century was cable, and you get all the package deals and stuff,
yeah.
right?
Yeah.
How many people, so we have the 800 channels or whatever it is, right?
We don't have a lot, but
Right.
yeah, we have.
How many of those do we use? How many? I don't think I can name 800. It's kind of, when you break it down, it's kind of a waste.
Well, yeah, and the stuff that's on it's not really, I could live without it.
Yeah.
Most stuff goes into reruns anyhow and winds up on a streaming service at some point. Any of the shows. The news, what news am I watching on a TV? Come on, people.
I don't know anyone that really, anyone
If you've
that's
learned
really,
nothing from our
anyone
podcast,
that's truly
it's that
into
you don't
politics.
take
Yeah.
it at the
And
TV.
even my friends who are, as I said, on the left, they don't watch TV anymore. Like if you're really into politics, the way you know someone's really into politics is you go, where do you get your news from? If they say CNN, Fox News, whatever, don't even listen
Yeah.
to their opinion. It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
That's
Well, it's not
someone-
that it doesn't matter. It's just not fully informed
Yeah.
if that's their only. And you can,
No.
when you find that out, usually you're like, all right, now I understand why you know nothing about what's going on in Michigan right now in terms of voting.
Right.
And
So I
or-
have one
yeah.
friend at the gym who, again, love her, but like you'll bring up something that's like massive going on. She's like, I didn't hear about that.
Yeah.
I watch the news all the time.
Yeah.
I'm like, I mean, it's pretty big. What do
Right.
you mean you just found out there's a war in Russia?
Right.
Like, so. But
And,
so, some
and-
people,
and all day long, how many times do you want to hear about what's going on in Trump's world and how much they hate him?
yeah.
I mean, that becomes the whole news cycle.
When we have
Everything
other
about
stuff
his
going on.
trials, everything about what he's doing and his campaign and the polling. At some point, you want to hear about something else other than that.
Right.
24/7.
It also makes you realize like how easily manipulative the news is. Not in the sense of like they're trying to push an agenda, which we can have that argument all day,
Mm-hmm.
but the fact that they're trying to deter you from other stuff going on purpose.
Yeah,
So,
yeah.
like the fact that we brought up the Obama stuff. We don't have to go. I don't know if we even talked about that on here last week,
Yeah,
but she didn't even know about that stuff.
okay.
So it's like that's pretty big news.
It is.
Not that it matters. Again, I don't care if he was a lifetime member at a gay spa.
Yeah,
but
I mean,
it doesn't bother me. It's just
No.
like, okay, it's pretty big.
yeah. I mean, it's big in the sense that it would have been nice to know that, just because if that's his lifestyle.
Well, it's the times, right? The times
Yeah.
back then, early 2000s. Well, when did he start as a senator? Right?
Yeah, he wasn't in the Senate for very long because
Yeah.
he went
So
launched his campaign.
that
I think he was
could've
there a year or two.
He and Pence would not have
he moved
gotten
on.
along.
Yeah, well, it's more okay. So if that was quasi not true, for all these individuals who supposedly went to school with him and claimed they never saw him, and he would have taken all the same classes they took because they had the exact same major, it just leads more credence to their conspiracy theory of he was never there. One, I read an article today. He might have been in the Columbia political science school.
Oh, okay. Hold on. You skipped a big part there because I was like, "What are you talking about?" So, what's this conspiracy? Are we going?
No,
I
it's
feel
not
like
a
we're turning into Sam
conspiracy.
Tripoli right now.
No, but if you're not going to be forthright about your lifestyle choices,
Yeah,
right?
I don't. Again, I
There are other
go-
questions about him
that we've wondered.
that
yes.
people have said, no, not true, not
the
true. See,
American
that's the
citizen
problem when you
or-
deny things and then something starts to creep out. In his own words, this isn't something somebody's making up anymore. They brought up letters from his past.
My only argument to that would be one's a lifestyle, whereas like it has nothing to actually do with your job. Whereas the rest, it's like, do you have the credentials for that job? Like going to Columbia, like that's kind of a big factor. But whether you're going to a
Right.
gay spa or not doesn't really affect your.
Well, it doesn't, but that position, you want to be truthful about who you are, and it calls into question all the other stuff that everybody has been saying. Well, if that was a facade, what else is a facade? You know?
I guess.
And there's it's not like people are pulling them out of nowhere. There's some valid questions that people are asking from the past when he was president. Why does it matter now? Because he's basically running the government now. Most people will say this is the third Obama term. So his agenda becomes our country's agenda.
I don't know how we got to that, but One Piece. Thoughts on One Piece?
Oh, yeah.
We went from One Piece to Gay Bama, as they're calling him.
Okay, so what did I think of it? So not knowing much about the 3,000 episodes from 1992 when it started, whatever.
Yeah, 97. Come on, get it right.
It was, whatever.
Come on.
It was not as cheesy as I expected it to be.
Right. Did you feel like the trailer held up, or do you think that they just grabbed the best parts?
No, I think the trailer held up. That was basically the story. I think the lead character, the actor is, and the character itself that he portrays is very...
what's his name, Mother?
Monkey B. Lufty. Monkey K.
You're not
K.
wrong,
Lufty.
yeah. Monkey D. Luffy.
Luffy, okay.
Luffy is his name. You just
he's
could call him Luffy, though.
Luffy.
No one calls him Monkey.
Right, he refers... No, he always calls himself
Well, remember,
Monkey.
in Japan, which is based off, that's your last name. So last name first. First name.
Monkey, so his...
Last name is Monkey.
Yeah, his first name is Luffy.
First name's Luffy. So it's Luffy D. Monkey, and it's reversed.
Right.
Go ahead, continue.
Well, okay, whatever. He goes by Luffy, you're right.
Just wait till... Luffy. Imagine if it was two O's, but...
Which is a little weird. I'm guessing they're going to give us some background on his name at some point. But having said that...
This is the problem with One Piece, right? And we kind of talked about it. So again, remember, 15-year-old me, I'm a freshman in high school. I don't think I found out what the D means until, like, somewhere in college. Like, that's how long it takes.
I don't really know that it matters, if it's that big a deal.
It matters.
Okay, well, depending on where they go with it, it's fine. So they didn't throw a lot of stuff at you at once, which was good. That's a good way to tell the story. He does some flashbacks to him with Shanks.
Yep.
And Shanks is an interesting character. And then we find out why he turns into Elastic Man. But that I felt was a little bit disjointed. That didn't flow well with the story.
A lot of times with animes, just in all shows, you have like a snippet of what happened, and then as the story goes on, then you understand the full story.
Yeah, I mean, but I can see where it's going in terms of he's going to battle different pirates, and they each have a different character, and they have a background story, and, I don't appreciate...
So... I
don't want to say this I don't want you to get clipped or anything for this, but I just don't appreciate, like, the very first character was so freaking effeminate.
Which one? Describe him to me.
The one who becomes the Marine.
Oh, Garp?
I guess that's the name, Garp. Garp's the very first.
The older guy?
No, young.
Becomes a Marine.
He wants to become a Marine. That's in this show that he winds up staying on the island with the Marines and stays to become a Marine. So he leaves with...
Okay, wait, hold on.
Zorro,
so I didn't watch this, so I'm going to be...
Zora and Nami?
Nami, yeah.
They get on a ship together and they start sailing.
Okay.
Apparently, in the next episode, they show me... there are more people that get added, apparently.
Yes. So that's the question. Okay, ready? Mm-hmm. So they shouldn't have their boat yet, right? Did they leave on a raft? What did they leave on?
He started on the raft. And with that...
So he grabbed Zoro,
he was
Nami.
with Garp on the raft. But then now they have a small ship.
I don't remember the first
small
ship.
Boat. I should call it a boat.
Okay.
Nami...
I think you're going to have to watch the whole season.
Nami tricks the two guys into giving her their ship.
Yes. So Nami, she's kind of like... Yeah, she starts as a thief, but she's their head navigator. So everyone not only has their own power, but there's a purpose for them on the ship.
Yeah.
Right?
I can see that.
So there's... What is it? I think there's 12. The real question... You know who the cutest character in One Piece is?
I don't know, but it could be a long time before the person comes out.
No, if they're going through these... Chopper from... One Piece. Look at this little guy. I'm curious how they're going to do this little guy. He's adorable. He's the medic.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So how do you think they're going to do that?
I have no idea.
But
I don't know, but you were questioning how they were going to do the rubber
Elastic
stuff, and it was very good. The graphics was good for it. I marked the director's name, but now I can't think. Jobst, I think, is the last name of the director. Jobst. So I thought he did a pretty good job. I can see if people are into that story, they would like it. I think it's appealing to
Well, you
younger
gotta at
people.
least get through the season, mother. Yeah,
Mark
Jobs.
Jobs, yeah.
Mark Jobs.
I think it's Jobs.
Jobs.
Jobs. So I think it's appealing. I think it might be nice for like high school age kids. I think they would find that interesting. Well, I don't think you guys would because you don't. You're in the anime world, so
You
the
gotta
live
get
action
through the
would be
first
like,
season.
blah.
When Bose has a surgery next. Wow, Bose has a surgery on Tuesday, actually, guys. So
Yes,
it's gonna be a little rough here,
Well,
but
we'll see. I'm not
You'll have to put up
dying to go back and see it again, but then again, you know.
well, wait till. Remember, as I said, the first season is just the setup. So right now he's only fighting the pirates, right? So Buggy's gonna be the main guy if you got to that.
We
point.
haven't gotten a Buggy
Okay,
yet.
well, you'll
Buggy
see.
hasn't joined us
But
yet.
that's like, so think of it as like you got, like first one's one pirate, and then it's hey, we gotta go fight the world government. It becomes insane. Like this.
Well, I can
scale-
see that premise because that's the
Yeah.
the world leader goes to execute Pirate Roger, whatever his name
Yeah,
is.
but you learn the balance. So like the world government controls what, and then you have the head. So I don't think this is a spoiler, but Shanks is what's called a yakuza or whatever, and there's 4 of them. So they're like the pirates that are so strong that the world government like can't touch them. So they have like a mutual agreement. Mm-hmm. So once you start seeing, and then you have the worst generation they're called. So that's Luffy and all those pirates. So when you see that dynamic, it becomes that's like right now you're in the starting phase of like the childhood trying to get everything together.
Yeah.
Once you start getting to like the grand line, which they might have mentioned already, that's like the midway point for the show. And the grand line is where everything changes. That's when it
Okay.
becomes like an adult show.
Oh, the Grand Line is what he's looking for the map
Yeah,
for.
so
Okay.
that's where they go. So once you hit the grand line, that's when the show really starts.
Okay.
So, but the question is again, for us that was 600
Oh,
episodes.
Well, and I also don't think that the Great Treasure is what we think it is.
The One Piece.
Yeah, I
Well,
don't
you
think it is
gotta
what,
wait,
we, want,
so
what we
that-
think it is.
So one of the people again, I don't want to spoil anything for those of you that are watching it.
I'm
but
gonna be first show prediction here that it's not treasure in the sense of treasure.
no one knows. No one knows at this point.
I
so.
know.
I think, but once you start realizing, like, when you get more members of the crew, and I think they're gonna skip a lot of that stuff, which is good because that's 600 episodes. You also have the 1 year skip, that's a wild one too. So there's a lot of moments in that show that you're like, oh, I understand how this is going, and then it's just a full shit show. Like, just wait till you find. My guess is Zoro hasn't fought Hawks yet, which is that's
No, he
that's a
only
good
fought the
one.
Marine guy
Yeah.
yet. It's very early in the
Yeah,
series.
that's when. Well, you only watched the first episode. Again, I'm kind of my.
Oh
knowledge
wait,
is
he
just-
fought somebody in the woods that wanted him to join the elite group. The I can't think of the name of it. And you
It's-
can't turn it down when they want you to
It's
join.
so minuscule in comparison to the grand thing. Like all this is nothing.
Well, and they did that in minutes, and he chopped him
Yeah,
in
no,
half.
these aren't-
So
These aren't minutes. Like the fight versus Hawks, that's going to be an interesting one.
I don't
know
think
that's in
it's
the
for
season.
little kids because there are a couple moderately gaudy gross scenes.
Yeah.
So I would say high school and up probably would take to it. Junior high maybe, but little kids.
You got to at least
no.
get through the first season. You
We'll
can take
see.
it slow.
We'll
You got to at
We'll
least get through
see.
it.
I got a lot.
Just make
I got
Kenny
a
happy.
lot going on. Okay. I got a lot
you
going
and Bo
on.
will be sitting in bed.
Yeah. Well, I got a lot of series to get through. I've been writing them down long before One Piece came out.
Yeah, One Piece. I think it'll be great, but I'm more excited for the fact that if this does work out, which again it's doing phenomenally well right now, then it opens the gate for all the other shows that they can do stuff.
Yeah.
on. I don't think they could do like a Naruto or a Dragon Ball Z. Maybe they can do a Bleach, but
If it makes money, Chris, they'll try.
that's how you ruin a series.
Doesn't
right? That's
matter.
how you
If they
lose
can
money.
get people to come and watch it for one season, they'll try.
That's true. I mean, I don't know how much money Netflix can throw
'Cause
away at this point.
Even I know Naruto. That is far more mainstream. You see Christmas orders in Walmarts with Naruto. You don't see these characters.
Well, we have a lot of. I mean, I have Ichigo's sword behind me, and then I don't know. Kenny has a bunch of Naruto things, but yeah, I mean, it's definitely infiltrated America at this point. I mean, I like to think I was on the forefront.
No, but Naruto has been around for a while, and yeah, I think that's more mainstream. Lunch
Naruto came out when I
boxes,
was in middle school. I think.
like I said, ornaments, characters, stuff for school.
Yeah,
I've never seen One Piece till you mentioned it to me.
yeah. There's a lot of shows though that are like that. I wouldn't say that they're as big. Like they're, but what's cool is there's shows for all age groups. So you have the kids ones, you have the
Yeah.
adult ones. But even then, the ones that are catered towards kids are still good. Like it's
Yeah.
not like here. It's not so. The beauty of the anime world is it's not like SpongeBob, which is just joking around, stupid
Yeah.
stuff. Whereas like Naruto is the story of a kid's hardships. Imagine watching that when you're 8. You know,
Yeah.
the kids. It was. Those are the shows that shape you. And
Yeah.
then I mean, I just finished Naruto when I was in college. So,
Yeah. Well, and some of the animes are cheesy, even though they're considered
Cheesy
good.
is a tough
The dialogue's
word.
cheesy and
Yeah. Oh, well,
it's very
the problem-
disjointed.
The problem is if you get, here's my rule. If you're watching without subtitles, it's not anime. Yeah, because
Well,
the
yeah.
voice acting's terrible.
Yeah.
It's awful. We watched Promised Neverland and that was terrible.
Right.
But I
It
think we watched
sounds
it in
cheesy.
Japanese.
It's
Yeah.
choppy and
Yeah, it's not.
the voices are fake sounding. It's
Yeah.
adults sounding like little kids.
Exactly.
Which is cheesy.
So that's why I mean you have to watch it in Japanese and then just do the subtitles. Otherwise, it's
Yeah, with my free time.
Yeah.
I'll start doing that.
God forbid you read a little, Mom.
God forbid. I'm
Anyway.
too busy doing stuff for the podcast.
I don't even know where to start. We can start with yours. Mine. So I have no political ones this week, which is awesome. That's the wrong one. We'll talk about that later, but we'll start with yours. We'll just bang the political ones out.
They're not political. This
China
is-
coal power spree continues at. Oh yeah, I guess it's not. Okay. Hey, stop hitting me with every notification
Oh,
possible.
okay. So I'm laughing at this one. This one's a follow-up one. Last week or maybe 2 weeks ago, we had on Grisham, who was the Secretary of Energy.
Yeah, hold on,
for
let me
the
just
US.
read the title for those of you that can't see it. So, China coal power spree continues at frantic pace with 300 plus plants in pipeline despite 2030 carbon pledge, research says.
That's right. So this is a follow-up to the Jenny Grisham story where she met with Chinese head of the Chinese electric company. They agreed that China was going to cut their CO2. And if you recall, like the next day after these secret meetings, we sold, quote unquote, sold all our strategic energy,
Right.
oil reserves to China. Well, she said, that's part of their initiative. They're going to cut it. All right, fast forward to this article. They lie. They're not cutting anything. And either our Secretary of the Energy knew it and was bald-faced lying to everybody,
Now, hold on, I just
or
want to point
she's
out.
as naive as can be.
Didn't my mom say this isn't a political one?
Well, this is about carbon
Right.
emissions and about, China blowing through it. And it's also about believing the media, right? What they tell you. There are now 300 plus plants in the pipeline China's going to put in. They've even brought older plants back online. Total opposite of what they're telling
telling us,
everybody
yeah.
about their carbon and how they're going to cut it. Yeah, sure. The plants are not going to places that they even said they were going to put them in. Places where the new coal needed to support their grid. Not even put in places where there's an issue with the grid.
Right.
They're not integrating their other sources of solar and wind. They have no evidence of that. China
Wow.
relies on coal for half of its power generation. They're not cutting back.
No point.
And I think we really have to stop lying to the American people that, China's going to do their part and squeezing us even more when, the worst offender of carbon, they're just not doing what they need to do.
How many gigawatts
Yeah.
is in the grid? Because I have no reference for how many gigawatts. So the United
it was
States,
in the article.
the entire electric grid in the United States has installed a capacity of about 1,250 gigawatts of power. Excuse me. and-
250 gigawatts.
gigawatts of
250
power,
gigawatts.
and there's currently 2,020
Capacitor.
gigawatts of energy capacity waiting in line to be connected. I don't know how that works. So, I guess so. They just said in that article that China is using. They just added and will most likely rise to 392 gigawatts at 306 coal-fired plants. So that is a lot. Like I have no reference unless China has a smaller grid. So then,
Well, they do have a lot of farm areas. They're not, but their cities are very dense. They
Right.
have a lot of people in Hong Kong and whatnot. If that's part of the whole the energy sector. But that was part of their ruse to say, we're going to put it in areas where our power grid is failing and it needs the extra support. They're not doing that. They're putting these plants in areas where there's no power grid issue.
right.
So they're full of it.
So theirs is about the same. Oh no, this is a little bigger. China installed power generation capacity was almost more than double ours, almost. Mm-hmm. So China has. Oh, so this is a problem, right? Because didn't our current president sell off like 90% of our grid to China when China has more than us?
Well, I think
Unless this adds in
they leased a portion of it or
Yeah.
some ridiculous thing.
So
they
what
have
do they
control
need
over.
more power for over there in China?
Well, it's a combination. I don't know if they produce more than we do. I just shut this thing to. Look at that.
Oh, it's your
my iPad. I don't know if like there are certain areas because they have bigger production facilities possibly, but I don't know that would generate that much more versus our cities
Yeah.
and their cities.
But also, isn't it wild how many gigawatts they have in comparison to like how many over there are actually using electricity? It's not like us where everyone has electricity, right? So
My
how
understanding,
dense
you
is
have,
that?
Yeah, you have a lot of areas where there's no grid. I mean, it's farm. It's antiquated parts. China is a very odd.
Because if I look up China population,
Lao Beijing. The
yeah.
Lao Beijing's in the middle of nowhere.
So China's population is 1.4 billion, right?
Yeah.
But my question is, how many of those are part of the CCP, right? Like the actual Chinese party, like
Oh, the party,
like
or
of the how many of that is like main China with electricity?
Oh, yeah. Well,
right?
I don't know. You'd have to look up, say, for instance,
I don't
in
even know
major
how I
cities,
typed that in.
Beijing,
Yeah, China
or,
population in the
Hong Kong. I don't know if Hong Kong is considered part of it. Wuhan, that's a decent sized city. We've learned. Shanghai, they're all your major cities.
Like I always wonder, what is the population of China's major cities? So, Beijing with around 20 million. Wow. So for
And what did
perspective,
you say? New York was about 8 million.
I was about
right?
to say, yeah. So for perspective, so just Beijing alone is 20.9 million, whereas New York City is only 8 million.
Right.
So that does kind of give you an idea of how many freaking people are in China.
There are a lot of people
Yeah.
in China, but they also, it's under communist control. So it's not like there's a free
Right.
market.
That's
You
why I
get-
wonder what they put all their power into. Because if they're using, I wonder. I don't know. I don't know where I would even find that information. I would need. Where's our producer? I need
Yeah.
a lookup person, so I
Well,
don't have to do this.
Here's the thing with China, regardless of what our leaders, the elites, tell us, they're very forthright. They serve China only. They don't care about the rest of the world. It's about China. So they don't care if they're going to store that fuel. They'll put up power plants with just to have them for whatever
yeah.
reason.
Just
They
in
will
case,
buy
as
our oil
backup.
because it hurts us and it helps them. So this business of, last time when our leader's looking us in the face and saying, oh, yeah, they're going to cut back. Either she's a fool or she's flat out lying to us, knowing full well they're taking advantage of our country. Shame on any American citizen who allows that to happen, let alone somebody who's in control of our energy sources that, we got a lot of people in this country here who could use discounts on their
Right.
electricity in the power grid, and we're cutting back on our carbon and adding more electrical to save, quote unquote, save the planet. It does no good if the biggest producer of
It's
carbon
destroying. Yeah, using all of it anyway.
is
and
laughing
just
in your
throwing- yeah.
face and saying, yeah, sure, and then just puts in more power plants.
Unbelievable. Speaking of power plants, Michigan EV power plants.
All right, so this
Okay,
follows that
plants.
story, right?
So Michigan EV plants owner promotes Chinese communist ideology at work.
Yes.
Worker retreats.
Right. So the Chinese company is called Goshen High Tech. It's Chinese-owned company. They're in the U.S. They have a video of their employees wearing red uniforms and chanting their fealty to the CCP. Okay? They own Goshen Inc., which just recently invested in Michigan. Some government officials are charging, they're checking for like FARA violations. So you have to register if you're foreign business or somebody who's working with
Right,
foreign.
because you have to follow certain laws and regulations.
Right. So some individuals get charged with FARA violations because they don't register and they're doing work for foreign countries. Like, for instance, you saw a picture of Kerry. He's supposed to register. There's issues with him because he never registers or he hasn't. Having said that, Goshen has invested $2.4 billion to build a 550,000 square foot plant in Michigan. So Michigan decided to kick in $175 million of taxpayer dollars,
Wow.
thinking they're getting the benefit. All well and good, but again, this is a Chinese company that has its fealty to the CCP. Not a good look when you got employees wearing the red suits and chanting how much they care about the Chinese Communist Party. Having said that, the owners of the company or the ones running it are saying, well, that's not us. Some people chose to go on that retreat on their own and paid for it themselves.
Right.
Yeah, right. Okay, come on. So all our friends in Michigan, You got problems in that state.
Yeah.
They got serious electoral issues. Now we've got communist countries coming in there, buying up properties and putting in facilities. I'm not confident that Governor Whitman has what it takes to hold the line for the good of the American people.
To hold the line for the American people?
Yes.
Again, where's my producer for this? Producer, get... Okay, we're good. We're fine. Yeah. Sweating. So what we just learned, guys, Michigan sucks. We're running out of power.
Yeah, Michigan's not doing well. So you should follow up with my last CO2 article.
You have another one?
Well, this one was that story I was telling you guys. This is like an educational. Science. Put my science hat on.
So a silly scheme by green zealots to appease the global warming gods.
All right, so we're going to... And actually,
we're going to conspiracy level here?
This woman, Janet Levy, she actually references a couple of the articles that I've brought to the podcast.
Whoa.
Okay? This I never knew. So there's a place called Satartia, Mississippi. In February 22, 2020, there was a loud boom. Stinking smoke filled the air. We talked about this at dinner. People immediately couldn't breathe.
Yes. Wow.
There's a 24-inch thick pipeline that carries CO2 and sulfur, hydrogen sulfide. It ruptured. I didn't even know these things existed. Okay, that's
the CO2 pipeline?
Yes. The company that ran it was called Denbury Inc. It's considered the leader in carbon dioxide transportation. They compress it. There's a whole process in the article.
Yeah.
It gets
so
compressed
basically,
and
to
pumped.
my understanding, though, so we dealt with this with one of our companies. Basically, there's a certain rule of how much CO2 you can have, like you can give off. So that's how you get what's called carbon credits.
Mm-hmm.
So their job is to basically dissipate. There's certain legal amounts that you're allowed to dissipate off. Mm-hmm. So basically what they do is they make these underground pipelines to take whatever that bad CO2 and just pump it out, like somewhere else.
Well, that's what's coming.
Right.
I mean, they're doing it, but that's the point of this was coming from an ancient volcanic cavity called the Jackson Dome. So they started taking it from there because they also use this carbon dioxide to bring more oil out of wells.
Right.
They pump it into the ground or somehow because it's compressed. Okay.
So they were just using the carbon dioxide.
Right.
Which is good.
Which is what it is and it isn't.
It's
so,
better than it just sitting in the sky. Right?
Opposite. We can deal with carbon dioxide. We do it every day. Every time we breathe it out. You're talking to somebody, carbon dioxide is in front of you. When you compress it, now it becomes a danger to you when you can't breathe. Because carbon dioxide also, when it's compressed, it's very heavy. And it sits very low and people suffocate. You could asphyxiate from too much carbon dioxide. Yes. That's why they put the hydrogen sulfide in it so you can smell it and you know there's a problem. Okay? Yeah. It's one of those nonsense.
CO2 and carbon dioxide, they have no smell.
CO2 is carbon dioxide.
Carbon monoxide.
Right.
Carbon monoxide has no smell, which is why there's that sulfury smell to it. So that's how you know.
They pump that. They add that to it so you know it. Fast forward to what you're saying. Now the Green Zealots, they're using this as it's a moneymaker. So they want to build more pipelines. So we want to take what's safe on the outside, compress it, now make it dangerous.
Right.
Now pump it to other areas and so people can get credits, carbon funding, and all this other stuff. So the point of this article, and if you read more of it, is that the joke of it is they're turning something that's perfectly harmless to people and making it a danger, all in the name of carbon, net carbon,
that's the gray line, right? So the argument is carbon dioxide, not compressed, isn't bad for you, but if there's too much in the ozone, it's a problem. So the answer is let's compress it.
But we talked about that. It's not a problem.
The main society sees it that way as like, well, if you compress it, it's not as bad.
But this article is adding to the fact, to the bullshit of it, okay?
Yeah.
So because of this outpouring, and I'm all for drill baby drill and using our oil.
That's what you call it? It's drill baby drill, a.k.a. fracking?
Yeah, well, that comes from Sarah Palin when she ran as vice president, drill baby drill from Alaska.
Drill baby drill.
Having said that, we got to get more of it out of the ground by pumping in CO2. I don't know. I'm not an expert on that, maybe we can get enough of it out. But here's the rub. You've got more scientists now, I think there's 1,000 of them, who are on the record saying this carbon greenhouse stuff is a scam. They're making it into something it is not. And it's a difference of opinion, yeah, sure. But when you see things like this, that we're taking something and creating a compressed gas that is now a danger. Did we learn nothing from East Palestine recently? This was in 2020. East Palestine was what, in 2022?
Two.
Or was it more recent, 23? So
No,
these,
that wasn't
if
this
you
year.
start adding more pipelines, more of this stuff's going to happen. And we're creating something to try and quote unquote save the environment. Is it really saving it? Because
Right.
I'm having more and more scientists saying CO2 is not the bad guy everybody's saying it is.
Yeah, I think too many. Well, it kind of comes down to the whole beauty of capitalism, I guess, or bad side of capitalism. So they make more money compressing it and pushing it off to the side because they get the carbon credits than if someone was just to come in and try and solve the problem and figure out how to make CO2 more usable. Right? That's the issue, that like the real dilemma that we have, whereas no one wants to put the time and money into figuring out how to do it when they could just make money off sending it out.
I want to
far
say
away.
10, maybe 15, probably 15 years ago, Al Gore started pushing this stuff.
The Gores.
Yeah, the environment's so bad, and we're all gonna die in 2020, and blah 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 blah. But all of a sudden, people were saying, "Wait a minute, this guy owns all these companies that are gonna benefit from the
Yeah.
Okay, I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, right?
Capitalism.
But there's probably SEC violations with some of that stuff when you're manipulating the value of these companies,
yeah.
if there's stock involved, whatever. But having said that, we went from enough people, wise people at the time, saying there's no real crisis here. It gets hyped up as a crisis by false data, by other scientists coming on board, and we talked about that on this. And here we are at this point where exactly what people said 15, 20 years ago was really not that big a deal. We've turned it into something a big deal. Oh, I wonder why. Because our government has allocated $10 billion for CCS. CCS is
Isn't it scary?
a carbon capture
Isn't
system.
it scary how $10 billion doesn't sound like a lot anymore after you see how much we're giving to Ukraine right now?
But that's a big amount of money for grants, funds, tax credits, and whatnot. And that's just the start.
Yeah.
So once these businesses take off, now we got another business. Who pays the price when there's a crisis?
My favorite one though is the melting ice caps. You know, like they've disproved that one over and over in the sense of, yes, the ice caps melt, but every day like it freezes over again. So it's not really. It's literally a stagnant point.
Yes.
So the way, again, isn't this the beauty of Mother Nature? So those ice caps that everyone complains melts does happen, but because of how cold it is there, like the next day there's like a huge ice spike downwards, like the temperature drops and then it just refreezes. So
Right.
it just ends up leveling off. They're
Well,
not getting smaller.
And I've also heard scientists say, yes, it is getting warmer in some places, but it's also getting colder in
yeah.
other places, and that's common
So,
in the
yeah.
billion-plus history of
But
Earth.
I think statistically, like if you just look at any like numerical research, it stays exactly the same. Like you'll have the spikes as you said,
Yeah.
but it doesn't go anywhere.
Yeah, I think they do an overall, which is like a lot of these scientists are saying, well, yeah, it goes up, it goes down. It's over
Now
time.
I know what you're
it
gonna
happens.
say, Chris. Can you at least show us that data? Truth be told, I don't know what I would type in to see those charts. Like there's so many charts now. I don't know which one.
We had that perfect
Which one
example
fits
last
my
time.
narrative?
If
Yeah.
you look at, the last 200 years of our country,
Yeah.
it's
That's
not that big a deal.
I mean
When
the measurements of the ice caps.
Oh, ice caps.
melting. So like the ones that they show on TV is the melt. So how much they've melted. But so I saw someone, I forget what podcast it was. It wasn't Rogan, but someone showed the other half of that, which is where it refreezes.
Yeah.
And it's literally like the melt is like this, and then the refreeze is like this. So it
Yeah.
literally makes a perfect X.
Yeah.
Which means like it freezes over when it goes down. So
Well, and sadly, I don't know whose data I would trust anymore.
Yeah.
That's where we are, and that's what's really same thing. We
talked
talked
about
about
that
this
at the
with
gym, yeah.
medical stuff also. Who do you trust anymore? It's unfortunate that we're funding as taxpayers all these different organizations, CDCs, NIH, and whatnot, and they've had conflicting information for everybody that they've put out. So when do you trust them? When do you not trust them? Where do you get your answers from? And that's scary when you're looking at something like this, where I'm old enough to remember when it was no big deal, and most scientists were saying, "Listen, it's not that big a deal." We all know CO2 exists. We breathe in it all the time. I'm not an expert in it. You're not an expert. We got some pretty sharp and well-known doctors saying it isn't that big a crisis, and yet we keep plowing through and dumping more money. That's when it becomes a scam.
yeah. I mean, think of how many hundreds of billions we've pumped into the global warming crisis since Al Gore started talking about it, him and his wife.
Yeah.
And then literally nothing has changed. Like quite literally nothing has changed. In fact, what's funny is the actual changes that have been made weren't done by Al Gore's foundation. It's all people that I think mainly Norway has done most of the climate stuff in the sense of figuring out how to change methane, like how to use it, methane gases, maybe CO2 stuff. But we're not the leaders when it comes to. So it's funny. We're the leading. I shouldn't say this because I'm not sure. I'd have to look it up. But I believe we are the leading. We've put more money into climate change stuff than any other country, but we've done the least in the sense of how much money has actually been used for global warming.
Okay.
If that's it's kind of a weird statement to say, but so we've given more money than we've actually used for figuring stuff out, whereas Norway or whatever country it was that is the leader in climate change hasn't even done a fraction of how much we've
Well,
put
and
in.
I think we have to be really careful because this does have real life consequences. If you keep cutting CO2 down, you don't have green plants.
Yeah.
You can't
Plants-
feed the
plants-
people of
yeah.
the world. And we've already seen, reductions in CO2 affecting certain areas. That's a problem. Now, maybe the globalists don't care if a whole nation has to be wiped out, of human beings, because there's those who believe that they're perfectly fine with that. However, CO2 serves a purpose. We have a greener planet because of our CO2, which means you could feed more people.
Yeah. I forget, what's it called? CO2, I believe in fruits and vegetables they do. I realize I do a lot of, I believe. But I believe they do something with carbon. It's like carbon blasting to get something that improves the soil. Like you you pump carbon into soil.
I don't know, because a lot of the farmers were saying because they pump it down to the wells, their soil is testing high with carbon dioxide. So they're saying it's bad for them because there's getting
maybe it's
too
a different
much of
type
it.
of carbon. I know they pump something in. Now we're doing the biochar stuff. So
Well,
that's
however,
that's
somebody
another
came in
conversation.
and said, they brought in the blah, blah, blah to analyze it and said, no, it's not a problem. And I go back to, who do you believe? Who do you believe?
Yeah, we can always go back and forth on that one, but all right. So what else do we have? This one's kind of a follow-up. So we talked about this a couple ago. Remember the online dating stuff that we talked about?
Yes.
So this is an interesting one. Bumble, which is a dating app,
Yeah.
bans ghosting. Stood up singles urged to report offenders for abusive behavior. You know what ghosting is? Have you ever heard that term?
I have. It's when
So-
you don't reply to somebody.
Yeah, so
or
let's
you-
say we're having a conversation for months and months and months, and then all of a sudden you stop talking to them. That's called ghosting. But I think in this sense, it's like, hey, you want to go out to a date, and then you set up the date and whatever, and they don't show up.
Yeah.
So that's what they're talking about.
Oh.
I was like, wow, it's actually, it's kind of a good thing that they're doing in that for people that actually do care about the relationship aspect. It also is kind of the opposite of what we talked about, or kind of defeats my argument of the fact that people aren't using dating apps for dating. They're using it for like the hookup culture or whatever. So this kind of brings me a little level of happiness in the sense of Bumble's trying to make it so that it's more of a dating app rather than like a hookup app.
Yeah.
So I was impressed by this. But I always think that these apps are kind of owned by the same people. Because one of my friends was showing me how she gets notification, like if something, like, you get notifications for like seasonal stuff.
Yeah.
They send them at the exact same time for
Yeah.
all these apps.
Could be.
So I think they are owned by the same person. And I think Tinder's kind of given up on the whole relationship stuff. I think they just they've doubled down.
Well, what constitutes, so what do you send a message if somebody doesn't show up for a date and you went there?
Bumble's interesting because I believe women have to respond first. You can't go out of
That's
your way
sexist.
to. Well,
That
when
should
you
not
think
be
of,
allowed.
when you think of Tinder, well, I think the reason for that is because of the ratios, as we talked about. There's so many men in comparison to women, and most of the time it's a lot of botting, like their fake accounts. So I think it's women. I don't know. I ask Bumble that. Let's have the CEO on.
Well, that's what I'm saying. I can't say good or bad unless you tell me, because I think that could get abused. Any woman who doesn't like a date, or if a guy has told her, you know what, I don't think it works out, and she's hounding him and she's calling that being ghosted because he doesn't want to respond,
Right.
assuming that that's how it works. If it's one of these, you set up a date, you both agree to it, and you show up, and the other person isn't there, you could then contact Bumble and say, listen, so-and-so said he would be there and didn't show up. Or she said she would be there and didn't show up. what does that mean? They get a penalty or something? You get a rating where you're not as good a date?
Yeah.
It's a very strange. I don't like when social media of any kind tries to handle behavior.
Oh yeah, of course. I agree. But the dating apps have gotten out of control in the sense of like they're not even really dating apps anymore. We call them that, but it's really not like used for dating.
Okay, but that's up to the buyer to figure that out.
Yeah, but you have to have a certain level of rules to your app, otherwise no one's gonna want to use it. Like think of Twitter. It's not the Wild West. You have to have certain regulations.
Well, you and I can disagree on that.
Well, I mean, with Bumble, I don't know. Again, if it's a dating app, I mean, you have to have certain rules. What, you want no age limits on there?
No, I'm just saying I don't know. You know, to some extent, you're an adult going on these apps. You get what you get. You got to expect it, and there should be some word of mouth, like somebody would say, "Bumble stinks" or "Bumble's good,"
Yeah.
or "Try this other one
But it's
because
all
if
owned by
you're."
the same person. Or the same
Well,
group?
but that's
So it gets a little weird.
that's the scenario. I do know the woman that does my hair said she finds, what did she say? Men tend to brag about who they are and what
This
they
is the stuff
have.
you talk about.
Yeah, because I always ask her, "How's the dating scene?" She said that the men are like that.
She's how old?
30 maybe. And she said, but the women, interestingly enough, she finds they tend to lie about what they look like. So they'll
with
post
the filters, I'm sure.
that, and they'll post a picture from 10 years ago, and you don't know it till you go see them. Well, she didn't say that,
Well,
but it was
Mom,
more.
if it's only headshots, she's 300 plus pounds.
Well, I know, but if you're not being honest, it's true. I mean, that's deceiving. Would that
Oh, yeah.
constitute bad? Could you ghost somebody because they lied about how much they weigh?
Yeah, I think you can. I mean, I'm going to assume there's a report button for fake accounts. Like, I guess it's not really a fake account. That's a real person, but they just look better 10 years ago.
Yeah, I mean, again, it's buyer beware. I don't know if it's fair to say, and I don't know how these sites work, but similar to my stuff that I do online with markets, merchants, do they get to post about you? Like say, "Oh, she lies, don't go on a date with her"?
Right.
Like, does that become part of your
I
platform?
remember in college, Bailey showed me one. So, I gotta be careful what I say in the sense of specifics. But there was a girl that Bailey showed me her Tinder profile, I think it was, or whatever. And I saw this girl every day, so I knew what she looked like. She purposely made her Tinder pictures look like she was at least 100 pounds lighter.
Oh wow!
100, like not even the same person. I was like, wait, there's no
Listen,
way.
it could happen by the time she goes on the date. It could
Yeah,
happen.
dude, yeah. She was.
She can will it to
Again,
happen for the date.
I never make fun of people's appearances, but
Yeah.
she was pushing 250 at least, and she made it look like she was at least 120. It was amazing. I was like, wow, that's a complete lie.
Yeah,
like you're
yeah.
completely lying to someone.
Yeah.
AKA catfishing.
But and what do you think's gonna? I mean, what's your hope that the guy's gonna like you
For
just
your
in your
personality?
personality,
Yeah.
or they're gonna be okay with you being a few hundred
Yeah.
pounds overweight?
Well,
Maybe,
nowadays
maybe
you
not.
just say, oh, you're anti-fat people. You're a scumbag. You know?
Right, but it's not gonna get you another date.
Yeah, no.
You're
Well-
wasting a night out on a date. So I don't.
If you're
I don't get it.
over 150, I'm not talking to you. If you're not jacked as shit and you weigh 200 pounds, you're not getting a date.
Well, I mean, lying about it. What's the point? They're gonna find out. If maybe I'd love to see stats because, in all fairness, maybe they say, "Hey, when I'm honest, I get nothing.
Yeah.
Nobody contacts me."
Maybe they just want dates, Mom, because they can't afford to go out for meals. Speaking of can't afford to go out for meals, maybe if they got into money markets and stuff, they'd
Money
be able
markets.
to support themselves. Yeah. So we were talking, I saw this article on money market accounts versus high yield saving accounts.
Uh-huh.
What's the difference? So this is a good one because you've explained this to me, the difference, and you did a very good job at explaining the difference between the two.
Yeah.
This one, I read through it, but I was like, my mom can tell me better. I was like, hey, this lady, Jasmine, not that I have anything against you, Jasmine, but I'm going to go by the banker. So can you give us for all of our viewers who are into money and trying to figure out how to invest and where to put money, can
Well,
you
I'll
give
give you
them
this
the
basic.
differences?
All right.
Yeah.
So what's the difference? A money market versus a high yield saving. So a savings account, you get your paycheck, you direct deposit, or you put it in an account. You put it in a savings account. A savings account usually gets a certain amount of interest.
Mm-hmm.
And in a bank, it tends not to be a whole lot of interest. Tends to be on this lower side because it's low risk. You can go in, you can get your money out if you need it. You can transfer to your checking to pay your bills, whatever. A high yield savings account is just that. What constitutes high yields, I'm not sure in this case, but normally high yield means you're getting a higher interest rate. Okay.
But a lot of those aren't. Are those the ones that aren't backed by the FDCI? Or
No, up to a certain dollar amount. If it's in a bank, it's going to be FDIC insured.
FDIC, that's
Yes.
what it is.
If
So
it's
FDIC, for those of you that don't know, federal. Wait, I got this. FDIC, Federal Department of
Deposit.
Yes. Hold on. Deposit. Okay. I know what it is. I don't know the abbreviation.
Federal Deposit
Right.
Insurance Corporation.
So that means, like,
So
let's
they
say if there was
insure
a
your
run on the
balances.
bank, right? If the
Yeah.
bank ran. So, like,
Yeah.
we always had in Silicon Valley.
Yes.
Basically, what that means is, so say the bank collapsed and all your money disappeared. The FDIC insures a certain amount of money. It might be $500,000 or whatever, but you'll get that much money back if
Yeah,
that
it's
bank
not
closes down.
it's not that high, but it
I'm just
also
giving an
depends on
example.
how many savers are on the account.
Right.
How many people are on the account.
So if it's not FDIC approved, you won't get your money back, but those tend to have the higher interest rates.
Yeah, I think there's more into high interest or high yielding than just that, the FDIC portion. It might depend on what the bank is investing it in, or it's just the fact that interest rates are up, you're getting more. If they have more of a definition, high yield savings is where the account grows quickly compared to traditional. All right, so they're compounding it pretty often, and for that reason, you're going to get a higher rate of interest.
So if you look, they did a bank comparison. Mm-hmm. So see right there, it says for our viewers, it says Barclays, member FDIC, so that means that it is FDIC
It's insured, yep.
insured.
Your balances.
It says the minimum balance, which is how much you have to put in a year, right? So that's how much
To get interest.
monthly fee, yeah. So, yeah. And then their interest rate is the 4.3.
That's your annual percentage rate. So that's your interest rate plus
Per
any
year.
fees or anything associated works out to be 4.35%. By law, they have to give you the percentage, the annual percentage yield. Yeah, and SoFi is the other. You're going to notice that a lot of these online banks can offer sometimes a higher interest rate because they don't have the brick and mortar. They don't have the expenses of other banks. He's going to listen. The alternative is a money market account. Now, money market account is an investment account. They're not usually part of a bank, but they could be. What happens is you say, here, let's use a name everybody knows, Vanguard. Invest this in your money market, blah, blah, blah. So a money market is different than, say, a stock fund or a bond fund that it invests in, a Vanguard stock fund or bond fund. A money market fund gives you dollar for dollar, and it applies a certain amount of money at the end of each day to your account. Similar to like a savings account. The only difference is what's generating that money is the investments that they do with all of the money that people put in the money market. Right. It's a low risk situation. If you put it in a treasury money market, you won't have to pay certain taxes on it because it's earmarked as treasury. So that's the difference. A money market account, you get a set dollar amount that's added to your account at the end of each day based on the investments that they did. It's
daily?
never in the negative. Well, they add it daily at the end of each day. You can go in and check your money market account, and you'll have what it's worth that day. At the end of the day, they apply whatever the investments are. But it's done on a massive level because
So it's
a lot of
really
people
the difference
invest in it.
between low risk and high risk. That's really the difference between the two.
Well, a high yield savings account, that may also be one where you can't do a lot of transactions every month.
Right,
You
I
can only
forgot that that's a
transfer
factor as
two
well.
times a month,
Yeah.
3 times a month.
I forgot about that factor. So yes, so to my mother's point, so let's say if you had to move money for some reason, like if you want to take money out of the account, there's only a certain number of times you can do it.
In a month, usually, yeah. Yeah.
Sometimes it's not like, usually it's like 2, I believe, or something.
Right,
Very
and,
few will let you do more
No,
than 3.
sometimes like a bank will let you do it like 3 or 4 times a month from a special savings.
Right.
They
But
may
which
let
is
you
the
do a money
one-
market.
Which is the one that allows you to do it unlimited times whenever you want? Is that
Any
just a
savings
regular
account.
savings
Yeah,
account?
any savings account or checking
But anything
account. You
that's
can go back
growing
and forth.
interest. And also you have to keep a certain financial amount in there. So usually there's like a $5,000 cap.
For
Right.
what? What are you
So
talking
let's
about?
say if I...
Not in a
if
savings,
you have to-
'cause they're doing
no,
it for a
no,
penny.
In the money market. Oh, so right there. So members will be able to unlock your highest savings rate, direct deposit, or depositing $5,000. So a lot of times they'll make you stay over that $5,000, so you can't pull out the $5,000.
Well, they're saying you'll give you a better rate if
Yeah.
you do 5,000 versus 100 or
yeah.
$100,000. But also, if you think about the mentality of it. A high yield savings accounts. If people are going in and out of it all the time, you may not have as much money. By forcing people to limit their transactions, that gives them a chunk of money to invest. So now they got options of investing long term. That money, the bank
Short-term,
being their investment, to make money to pay out their savings. Same thing. Money market tends to be so large that, and certain ones could put restrictions in. They may say it has to be a minimum $5,000,
yeah.
and you can't take it out for
X amount of years.
well, no, usually not years, but for a certain amount of time. Why do they do that? Because they're investing that money, and if they have balances that fluctuate so much, it's very hard to get the yield in order to pass that on to the investors. So that's why some of these accounts.
See, I said years because I'm just so used to $100,000.
Right. Putting it all in there. Yeah.
I'm just so used to putting starting at a couple million.
Right.
And
But right now, the positive side to rising interest rates for people who are not in debt, you're going to see more money going to your savings accounts. If you have small money, you might not necessarily see that in money market accounts unless they're investing in investment vehicles that generate high interest, right? Or from regular investments. So it depends on what the underlying investment is, but that's one of the pluses to interest rates going up. For investors, not so good with the bonds, but it's good for investors when it comes to their savings.
So there's really no correct answer on which one's better. It's just how much you're willing to risk in the end, and whatever one works best for you.
Right, and there's other things you have to look at. You have to look at what are your cash flow needs.
Right.
They're both pretty easy to get, pretty liquid, we say, meaning you get in and out if you want to. However, there could be limits to how many times you could do that in a savings account. Some money market accounts do put limits on it. And you have to see the high yield. Is there any risk involved with the savings account? Is it something that they're investing in that might be a little bit riskier?
Gotcha. Hopefully that helps you guys out a little bit. Speaking of investments and contracts, Kickstarter. This one's a little bit interesting. So Amarath, or however you pronounce it. So this girl kind of broke the internet probably like 2 years ago, maybe. So she was like the first, I guess, adult content creator on TikTok, where no nudity or anything, but she would do like these. So when I go to Twitch, right, and I won't go into the spiel, but when you go to Twitch, I always think of video games and whatever, like you're streaming video games. This girl was kind of the first one to do like bathtub streams and hot tub streams.
Okay.
Right? So she's just talking to you, and she's just in a bathing suit the whole time. Thing is, she made crazy amounts of money because
she's the first OnlyFans.
Yeah, it's like OnlyFans without OnlyFans, right?
Okay.
And no, like real. I'm sure she has an OnlyFans at this point. But what's interesting is she's kind of the reason why if there was a history of Twitch and where the downfall started, I kind of would start here. And the reason isn't because of her. Like, I don't have anything against her. It's just they started allowing, like, this overtook all the gaming stuff.
Yeah.
So instead of following, and she broke all the guidelines, but she was making Twitch so much money, they kind of just looked the other way. That's the problem. So that's where I get a little annoyed.
Yeah.
But what's interesting is she says, and again, this is a he said, she said that even with all of that, Twitch never, and again, she was making them all the money for like 6 months straight, maybe even a year. Twitch never helped her out. Like, they never considered her a real creator. So she goes over to Kick real fast. So the new website. And now she says she's getting recognized. She got her contract deal that all these streamers are wanting. But I more so pulled this for Kick. Like, pulled it in the sense of, I want to talk about Kick. Do you remember we talked about, like, a couple months ago, probably like 3 months ago, how they were doing that creator program with everyone getting paid, like, as long as you're streaming? So I don't know how that rumor started, and there was a lot of backing it, but you would think a rumor that big, they would have addressed it. So the fact that they didn't address it tells us that it was probably true. It was going to happen. So they weren't stopping anyone, and everyone was saying. So all the contracts started coming out. So there's no contracts in the sense of the only two people have gotten full contracts, which is Aiden Ross, the kid I was telling you about.
On Kick you're talking about.
Yeah. We're not talking about Twitch anymore. Him and XQC. Remember XQC got that $100 million deal? Yeah. All these other deals that you guys are hearing about aren't real. Like, the rest of them. So
Kick was full of it. They're not paying people to stream.
Just
certain people.
They kind of tricked us in the sense of, well, we are giving contracts to everyone, but you still have to average 75 viewers a stream, right?
Okay.
That's like impossible to do. Even on, like, it's again, you're in such a small group of people. So on Twitch, people that do that on Twitch, if you have over 15 congruent viewers or 10 congruent viewers, you are part of the 0.01% on Twitch.
Okay.
So again, it's probably lower because there's not as many people on Kick streaming, but still, it is very, very hard to average that.
Right.
So I do feel kind of kicked in the face a little bit by Kick.
No pun intended.
Good one. Because again, you're getting these contract deals. So Anne Marath or whatever. So her deal, just like with Fusi, who we won't go
Caitlin
into,
Siragusa.
something like that.
That's her name.
Yeah, I don't know her as. I didn't even know her first name was Caitlin, but so like all these streamers talked about these contracts that they were getting for Kick. They're like, I'm getting 20 million. It never happened. What it is let's say you hit that 75 mark. Your contract is okay. We'll pay you $7 an hour per stream. So that's the contract. It's not these one-time payments of 20 million for the year.
Right.
So all that, it's called an incentive contract. So, I'm gonna say it. I thought Kick was gonna be the next big thing, but they just became Twitch. That's it.
Yeah.
And honestly, I would say it's even worse than Twitch because it's only a matter of time before Aiden basically they canceled his contract.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
because he's
one
like,
of two, and they
he's
canceled
offering,
one.
Yeah,
Okay.
and they're offering these he's the one that's doing all these deals. He'll like call up friends and be like, Kick will give you 30 million. And then it just ends up being an incentive deal. Because if you go back and you look at all these guys that he was like, you were going to get these contracts. These guys go around. They're like, I quit my job. I'm a streamer. I got this contract on the way. And then like 6 months later, there's been a couple that have gone around on TikTok of Aiden calling them up midstream and being like, contract didn't go through, but we got an incentive contract. It's not as much as you were thinking. So they are getting the incentive contract. But it's not that 20 million, 50 million that they expected. It's we'll give you like $30 an hour.
Right. You gotta be careful. There's some lawsuits brewing.
I know,
there.
right?
That's like
But who do you sue? It's not an American company, right? A lot of it's in crypto gambling overseas. So
Yeah,
you know what? I'm gonna say it. I think Kick's gonna be a failure. Oh, which sucks because I was gonna invest in that company, and I was like, ah, shit.
These social media platforms, I tell you, they got a nerve.
The streaming
They got a
ones are
nerve.
tough because, but this is what grosses me out. Twitch is shit. Twitch is absolute garbage now in the sense of, first off, they don't help you. Like even the CEO came out and said, yeah, there's no point in just streaming on Twitch. You got to go to like TikTok and stuff to promote yourself.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, I understand that, but
Yeah.
I mean, you could help us out a little bit.
Right. Then what's the point?
Yeah,
You might as well
what's
just
the
give it
point?
your whole platform.
So Twitch isn't going to help anyone. There's no one taking down Twitch. I mean, Kick is for kids that think Aiden Ross is cool, which is tough to say.
Okay.
Again, I don't have anything against Aiden. It's just like, I don't know why you would give this kid that much power. Be like, yeah, you got this sick deal coming your way. And then he calls up 6 months later. He's like, deal didn't go through.
Obviously, it wasn't a good plan on Kick's part.
Yeah. I mean, he made his money, so good for
It
him.
sounds a little misleading to me. I don't know all the details,
Yeah.
but I got to believe there's somebody out there. You can always sue somebody. There must be
I don't know how it
some sort
works.
of entity
Yeah.
that
But like,
governs
you
it.
can't find, like, I know who the CEO is, but the actual backers, the ones that actually give the money, I mean, it's all like these crypto.
Well, is it a
gambling sites.
corporation that owns it? Kick?
No, it's like a pool. It's weird. Like there's an organization, but where the money comes from that actually funds it. Like all the investors, no one knows who they are. But they're just known as crypto
God,
gamble sites.
Crap that goes
So,
on in the social media.
Yeah. Well, this isn't really social media. You know, we
Whatever.
put it on
It's a platform.
So
Whatever.
for me, it's just like, what are we? What you know? Dextero. Oh, actually, I'm going to say. Let me tell you something. Dexerto. Or sorry. I'm going to save this because this is where I'm going to start getting most of my news. Just because these guys, let me tell you, these guys, they know where it's at. They have all like the YouTuber news. So I'm going to start getting their stuff.
Gaming, entertainment, TV, movies, esports, tech, and more.
tech, and more. So,
right.
Hey, you just earned yourself a follower, Dexerto. Even though I still can't.
Dexerto.
Yeah, Dexerto. And last but not least, just so we can end it on a high note. Well, actually, opposite.
Oh my gosh.
So Starfield, that's the big game. Like you'll probably start seeing commercials on this pretty soon. In the sense of you'll probably see one tonight during the Penn State game. So Starfield is Xbox's and Bethesda's big game that
Yeah.
comes out. If you got the early access, it's already coming out. I'm not saying it's a flop, but it's not looking too good. So a long time ago, probably 5 years ago now, a game called No Man's Sky came out.
Yeah.
People are saying that game was better than this. This game is so this is a space game, Mom. It's a massive game,
Okay.
like size-wise, but there's just nothing. There's just nothing.
Oh.
Gather resources. So they like the story. They like Bethesda. We'll play it on Wednesday. I have to do the recording for it, but listen, I don't put my hopes up anymore.
Yeah.
Like, I don't keep my hopes up. I always go in with a low standard now.
Mm-hmm.
This one kind of hurt me a little bit because I was like, finally, one good game that Bethesda... And remember, Bethesda hasn't had a game since Fallout 76, which was a failure, to say the least.
How long ago was that?
2 years, maybe?
Oh, that's too long ago, but
Yeah.
still.
So, again, it's not... I don't want to say failure, but, again, it's one of those things how we overhyped it, promised way too much, and now we get it, and it's like, oh, it's okay. You know?
Yeah.
So, again, it hurts that media critics giving this a low score because media critics are usually pretty good about their scores. Like, they're pretty accurate.
Yeah.
Way better than IGN.
Listen,
So,
it's
this
a
one hurts a little
cutthroat
bit.
world. You got to produce quality gaming
Yeah.
or hit the road.
Yeah. Exactly.
It's a product. People
And if your
pay
game
for this
sucks,
stuff.
execution.
That's
Well,
That's right.
you know, let me show you the
Shame.
trailer for... You're going to look at GTA 6 real fast? GTA 6 trailer.
Don't
right?
they have to like stab himself if it's a
Yeah.
Japanese company?
Where's the... I want to see the... There's an image that looked so unbelievable. Like, no, that's GTA 5, but the in-game quality... I mean, doesn't that... How realistic does that look?
Yes.
Doesn't that look like New York City?
No, New York City's too much of a dump. That looks too nice.
Yeah, too
Put
bad it
some
takes too long, but like that's pretty impressive.
People on the side of the road.
We're
No,
at the
yes, very
point
good
where
quality.
gaming has transcended movies, and you know what else is funny? Remember Diablo 4?
Yes.
That game just officially flopped.
Oh.
So
okay.
3 months of a good run, and now it's on sale. So gaming has absolutely ruined. I mean, it's just falling apart, guys. You know,
Yeah, you're gonna
I wanted to
run out
end it
of-
on a happy note.
You're gonna
but
run
I
out of
realize that
concepts
it's
pretty
not.
soon. You're gonna run out of stuff.
Gaming's getting rough, but we
So-
do have some other good games coming out pretty soon. Where's the? Do we have? No memes, no questions. I don't know. I thought I was gonna end on a happier note than that, but you know, it's just sadness right now.
Happy note, it's Labor Day weekend.
Oh, that is true. Yeah, we have.
You won't
3-day
see this
3-day
till
break.
after Labor Day, though, right? They won't.
No,
have
they'll
to.
see this on Monday.
Oh, on Monday.
Yeah, they'll
Well,
see
Monday
it
is Labor Day.
on Monday. Yeah, it'll still come out.
All right. Well,
You can watch a podcast whenever. They might not watch
at the
it
beach.
on Monday.
Watch
Yeah.
the podcast at the
When
beach.
you're on the shore, you got a pina colada in one hand.
Or at the lake. Some people are at the lake.
That's true.
Some people are at the park. Not everybody goes to the shore, right?
The fact that you were outside disgusts me.
All right, I swear to you, I got to tell you this,
Go
you
ahead.
podcasters. I'm driving down Route 22 in New Jersey. That's a main road that takes you from our area to I-287, which goes to the Jersey Shore.
Yeah.
Let's think about it. It was yesterday I was out. Start of the holiday weekend, people take Monday off, make a long weekend out of it. You know those signs where they alert you to snowstorm ahead or, accident, exit such and such closed. I kid you not, it said something to the effect, but you'll get the gist. Watch out, report terrorism, and put a number underneath. Terrorism, people, in lights. That's what it said on the sign.
But
Report terrorism with a phone number.
terrorism with the phone for what though?
In New Jersey, if you witness any terrorism.
It's kind of.
I don't know, but this is what you're seeing as you're starting your holiday weekend
Yeah.
for Labor
Hey
Day.
kids, let's hit the beach. Oh.
I did a double take. I'm like, report, what? Terrorism?
Did they mean tourism?
I don't know, but I'm like, I'm waiting to see if some people in the local chat put something down. Like, did anybody see that
Yeah,
sign? Or
it's kind of a weird one.
do?
But yeah, I don't think. Are we doing anything for Labor Day? We never really do anything for Labor Day.
We're preparing for surgery on
Oh,
Tuesday.
that's right. Bo's surgery is Tuesday. Wish us luck on that one, guys. I'll tell you how it is on stream if you show up.
We have
on
the shaman
Tuesday.
coming on Monday to bless the house with
Uncle's
the
coming?
smoke. No, shaman. That's the witch doctor. I'm joking.
Oh, I thought you meant
Prepare
someone was
for
actually
the dog.
coming over.
No.
Oh,
No.
I was like, who's coming over?
No.
Well, knowing Dad would helicopter Bo to the place if he had
Yes.
to.
No, we could take him.
I could break both my legs. My dad would be like, walk it off.
No, we don't care. Walk it off. Not the favorite.
Bo's got to go out. It's tough because our dad's not here to watch the dog. So, yeah, the only things I have to promote. So we finished pretty much all the speed runs. So those should now we're doing more speed runs. Is that true? Yeah. So now we're going through the Wolfenstein ones. The only other ones that I have to promote. So what? So Sea of Stars came out today. It's Saturday. So go check that one out. This comes out Monday. Guys, we have, I think I've said this on stream, but we got a lot of games coming out. We have, so Starfield, as I said, and then after that we got Lies of P. We got Payday 3. We got Assassin's Creed Mirage. Like, listen, we went through a dry spell of video games, and now we're just soaring through. So I think the rest of the year is going to be a lot of fun. So Tuesday, Monday, because I'll be streaming on Monday. I don't know what we'll play, but so I guess tonight, as I said, the hardest part about this is just remembering like the forethought of what day it's going to be when this comes out. So I'll just leave it there. Go watch all the stuff on the channel. Post the stuff in Discord. The only other things is Discord down below for those of you that want to add questions and stuff, which we need more questions just so we're not talking to ourselves. We want to answer some of your stuff as well. And then social media, promo code Streamlinks, Discord down below. And I will see you guys at stream tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Standard. So you guys have a good one, and we'll see you next week.